Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast covers everything tech. The hottest mobile phones, tablets, games. We review it, rate it, test it. Whether you're Microsoft or Apple, Android or iPhone, we'll give it to you again. Black and white. The Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast.
And you are tuning into the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by none other than the GSMC Podcast Network. So today we're going to be talking about a few things. First, we're going to be looking at the man in the mirror. We're going to talk about Samsung announcements. We're going to talk about the trouble with solar panels. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about the newest form of transportation and how soon we should expect to be using said means of transportation. So stick around till the end if you want to hear about that. Again, thanks for tuning in. My name's Jake Durkin, and without further ado, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. We are talking mirrors today. And why are we talking mirrors? Well, as I was searching the interweb, looking for a fun thing to talk about this week, I came across some pretty peculiar things. One of them I had seen before, so I just delved into it a little bit further. And the other thing I had never seen and was a little bit shocked that a product existed that did this. So let's start with the weird one. So the first one is for the ladies or men that like to use makeup and or someone who's transitioning. I don't know. You know, it's 2020. It is a smart mirror that analyzes your skin and has a built-in Amazon Alexa. I'm not kidding. This thing is top-notch tech built into a mirror. I mean, so for a lot of women, getting ready is a bit of an ordeal. You know, you wake up in the morning and it's this whole thing that men don't have to deal with, luckily. I mean, I'm happy for this. But you struggle with getting good lighting, making sure that your beauty products are personalized to your skin, and making sure the mirror is clean. It's all this stuff that adds up. It takes a lot of time out of every woman's day. Everyone that at least wears makeup. So now enter the Hi Mirror, H-I Mirror. It's a high-tech mirror that is basically a skincare expert. So the skin analysis technology assesses your skin and maps out the areas in your face with wrinkles, dark circles, dark spots, red spots, roughness, long pores, and fine lines to help you tailor your skincare routine. It's unbelievable. I mean, we're just getting... I'm so excited about this next generation of tech that's just going to get... Everything's getting so smart so fast. I mean, we're building things into mirrors right now. What's next? I mean, we don't have flying cars. I mentioned that in the previous episode. We don't have flying cars. But we're going to have a wide array of smart tech built into our daily household items. And this is one of them. So if you're not sure what to do with that info, Hi Mirror also recommends products based on your result and local weather conditions. More importantly, when you buy those products, you can scan them to monitor the changes in your skin and see how effective the products are and when they will expire. The mirror is also an entertainment center. So like if you want to listen to Spotify, your favorite music, or you want to watch a YouTube tutorial while you're using the mirror, this is the thing that blew my mind the most. This is what caught my eye. You have all these YouTube tutorials, and I was actually talking with my fiance the other day about the fact that these like teenage girls look like they're 30, and you look at pictures of, she was like, yeah, you look at pictures of us when we're in high school and or middle school, and we look like we have no idea what we're doing. Why? Because we didn't. But now they have these YouTube tutorials for all these girls that now have like these professional makeup artists just giving them insight in exactly how to use their makeup. So with this mirror, not only can you watch YouTube on it, but there's a mirror built. I mean, the screen's built into the mirror, so you can actually follow along with the makeup artist rather than watching it and then trying it and then like pausing it in between. You can just continuously follow what they're doing and do it at the same time, and I'm sure the results are mind-blowingly better. So you can follow YouTubers, you can watch YouTube videos directly in the Hi Mirror or browse through Instagram and Facebook for more beauty inspiration. This is just... who would have thought like this would have been one of the more quick to market things that we would get as far as this goes? I mean, there's so many things we want. I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I want tech built into my bathroom mirror. And I've seen this in some places, like Gorilla Glass has been working on this for what feels like a decade at this point. But you just want to have stuff just appear when you go into the bathroom in the morning, like the clock in the top right corner, the weather for the forecast for the day, so you can just see it visually when you wake up. I mean, and if it's built into the mirror, you could also theoretically have like a light lamp that's sort of like a night light that comes on when you're going to the bathroom. So if you do need to go to the bathroom and don't want to turn the lights on and wake yourself up, you can just come in and it's a nice soft light without having to have, I mean, now you took 3 products in one. I mean, it's just, there's more stuff that's coming. And this is a really cool example of it. So let's get into the details of this thing. So if you go to their website, himirror.com, again, that's spelled himirror.com/en-us/ I don't know why you have to do that. I don't know if you have to do that, but that's what I had to search. So they have 3 different models from what I can see. I take that back. It looks like 4. Well, one's a bundle. So we're looking at the Hi Mirror Slide, Hi Mirror Mini, and the Hi Mirror Mini Premium X, and then the Smart Body Scale bundle, which is what everybody wants. But let's go to the Hi Mirror Slide. Let's check this out. So if you just go on the website and look at this product, I mean, first off, the website looks incredible. In the Hi Mirror Mini, you get 16 gigabytes of space. You can stream Spotify and Pandora, as I mentioned before, and watch those YouTube tutorials. And it spreads out, so it sort of collapses a little bit, but not fully. It's like slides together. And you can zoom in on specific parts of your face and get like have it linked to particular makeup routines, and just save portfolios and follow along with your makeup routine, your beauty routine, if you will, your beauty journey. They have LED lights that are built in, ambient light strips. You can adjust the color, temperature, and brightness freely, or select one of the 5 preset scenarios and get flawless makeup applications every time. And this is the thing that I keep going back to. You know, I am shocked by how much I say it on this podcast, but the more data you have, the better. And that's what they're doing with this product. And that's what some of the best tech products I've seen, even by reviews, are doing. You can keep track and never look back. It's like the mirror analyzes the skin condition, wrinkles, and everything we've mentioned before, and you can keep those, like that data stored. Photos are stored along with measurement data, and you can track your progress over time. And you can target areas that need the most help. It's just, the more data, the better, regardless of what product it is. And the more we can put that data in the hands of the consumer and empower them to use that data, the better, I think. Regardless of industry, regardless of product, the more the data can be in the hands of the customer, the better. And they seem to be doing a great job of this. I think some people might be freaked out by the fact that you have a mirror in your house that's watching you at all times, and that Alexa is also built in. Because, I mean, we all have sort of a quiet suspicion of Amazon and Alexa-based products, how they're listening at all times. But, you know, it's what we're going to have to sacrifice going forward, it seems. But you can also Google Duo and show friends your beauty haul in voice call with your Google Duo. It's sort of like one of those Alexa homes where you can do that FaceTime version, which everybody sort of wonders why you need that. But I think in a lot of cases it helps. And it's easily packable. It looks like it's the size of like a skinny but large book. Like maybe an encyclopedia that is very thin. So that's the first product we're talking about. This thing is really cool, and I'm excited about this company. I might even need to get this for my fiance because, I think she would really love it. On the spec side, we're dealing with the CPU is Allwinner A80T. The memory is DDR 2 gigabyte and eMMC 16 gigabyte. The mirror size, here we go, the dimensions, 11 inches. And the display size is 8 inches HD touchscreen panel. The camera is 1x8 MP CMOS camera. The input is multi-touch touch panel, a multi-touch panel 8 inches, and touch wake up, touch pen optional, and a quick command key. The I/O port is connection microphone times 2. There's 2 of them with noise cancellation. That's huge. And the speaker is a 2-watt by 1-inch speaker, a wireless. So it's Wi-Fi enabled, as you can probably guess, and it's also got a power of 12 volt or 36 watt. So this is a really 1.9 pounds. It's very light. If you really want to take it on the road and take it on a flight, it's not going to really put you over the edge there. No more than a computer would. So this is a really exciting product. But let's get to the one I'm more excited about, because I'm into fitness and really excited about the stuff that is starting to happen with fitness technology. So as far as that goes, there's a company called Mirror Co. And they are selling, I'm going to warn you ahead of time, it's extremely expensive. But right now they're offering a $350 off August deal if you insert the code August20. So this thing's really cool. It is one of those full-length mirrors that you see on the wall that you put up to check your outfit before you leave the house. Make sure that looks on fleek. And instead of that, you have this digital rendering in the mirror of a trainer that is going to help you work out with next to no equipment. We're talking, in the photo on the website, she just has a yoga mat, and then the mirror is embedded into the wall. And I'm sure you can get larger sizes as well, but it looks like for the most part, all you're going to need is maybe some medicine balls and some free weights if you want it. It's basically the non-Peloton Peloton. It's if you really don't like riding a bike, then you can go on this thing. And we're looking at a price tag of around $1,500, or you can pay as low as $42 a month. And out of 197 reviews, you're getting 4.9 out of 5. That's kind of crazy. You don't see that on a lot of products, especially companies that are this new. So you're looking at 0% APR financing if you want to do that. The warranty is included. Your mirror comes with a 1-year warranty. Extended protection plans are also or can also be available. White glove delivery and 30-day risk-free trial. So they're putting their money where their mouth is. It's not just a mirror. It's a cardio class, it's a yoga studio, it's a boxing ring, it's a new personal trainer, and so much more. Even on the website, it's beautiful. They show every single type of workout routine you're looking for. So over on the left, you see someone doing jumps. In the middle left, you see someone working on weights, barbells. And then in the middle right, you see someone doing yoga and then someone doing boxing. And I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever tried boxing classes, they are so expensive, and I loved doing boxing, but it's just such an expensive thing unless you go to one of the exclusively cardio places. You can do it at the YMCA for free classes that are included in your membership, but it's not like you're getting a real boxing teacher, It's cardio. So let's just look at one review here, 5-star review. I purchased the mirror and have been using it for 6 days a week for about 4 months now. I absolutely love it. I always had trouble getting motivated to exercise and never wanted to join a gym. But with this product, I have had no problem getting motivated. I actually look forward to my workouts now. I've seen people mention the initial cost being high, but for all the classes you get, it's easily worth the initial investment as long as you use it. The results have been outstanding as well. I am a 37-year-old, and I am in the best shape of my life, even more in shape than my time in the Army. Restorative yoga is an amazing class, and I would recommend it to anyone. Another recommendation would be to go through all the instructors for your main workout and settle on one that you like best. It also works great with your Apple Watch. So that's something I didn't know up until just now. It works really well with your Apple Watch. And we like our tech to be highly compatible with Apple because unless you're an Android user, I am not. You just want all the data. Can I say data again? Data. So frame, this thing is built with a carbon steel frame, mineral bronze powder coated. The display is a 40-inch full HD 1080p display with 178-inch wide viewing angles. So it's got a quad-core processor, and the sound comes from two 2x10 watt high-fidelity stereo speakers, embedded omnidirectionally microphone, and the camera is a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. Power is a 1 foot and 6 foot right angle UL certified cable. So we're looking at some good specs as far as the hardware goes. As far as internet connection, it's a dual band Wi-Fi system, and I'm seeing nothing but positive reviews as far as setup goes and ease of use. App, it's controlled by iOS or Android companion apps. It says heart rate, sync with Bluetooth, TM, heart rate monitors, and Apple Watch. And audio pairs with Bluetooth speakers and headphones, so you could connect your AirPods. As far as installation goes, it's low profile and adaptable wall mount for all wall types or sleek minimalistic carbon steel stand. And you get a mirror care kit with it, a mirror starter pack. The dimensions is 52-inch height, 22-inch width, 1.4-inch depth, and it's about 70 pounds, which sounds pretty heavy. So obviously you got to be careful when you're putting it on the wall, or just use the stand, which I would probably prefer. So we've talked about High Mirror, and we've talked about Mirror Co. We're seeing some really cool innovation in this sector of the tech industry, and I'm super excited to see what comes. Mirror has nothing but positive reviews. High Mirror gets around a 4 out of 5, and there's more to come from both these companies. I'm seeing a lot of positive reviews online, and a lot of people who were willing to spend that money. Even though it seems expensive, they are great products, and they perform how you want them to and solve problems that you need solved. So that's what we're looking for in tech, problem solving. We want them to solve our problems and also give us as much data as possible. So coming up, we're going to be talking about a few things. First off, we're going to be talking a little bit about Samsung's announcements. Then we're going to talk about some solar panel issues as far as getting rid of them. And then we're going to talk about transportation that doesn't relate to Tesla, sort of. Okay. Anyways, see you in a bit.
Do you work in the world of marketing and advertising? Are you a media buyer or the owner of an agency? Have you been looking for a podcast to help stay on top of all the goings-on of those worlds? The GSMC Marketing News Podcast is dedicated to keeping you up to date on all things concerning marketing and advertising. Get the latest marketing news, from what major businesses have planned for the coming year to the newest trends in advertising, from podcasts, digital and streaming, to the old standbys of radio, television, and billboards. The GSMC Marketing News Podcast has you covered, whether you're a marketing agent or a business trying to expand your brand.
Welcome back to the GSMC Technology Podcast Network. I am your host. This podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. So we've talked about mirrors. We've talked about the tech they're putting inside those mirrors and why we should maybe be frightened, but also excited, but also a little bit frightened, but also excited. What we're going to talk about next is a little bit of news from Samsung, as well as some news on solar panels and some transportation stuff. All right. So are you an Apple fan? Well, if you're not, that's okay, because we're talking about Samsung, and we're talking about their Galaxy Unpacked 2020 event. They talked about everything from the Note 20 Ultra to the Z Fold 2. And they're really touting their latest portfolio as being filled with powerful and expensive devices. Are you excited? Because I'm excited, even though I like Apple and that's what I choose. All right. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 and Note 20 Ultra. These two things are selling for a whopping $1,300 as for the Note 20 Ultra, and then the Note 20 is $1,000. So these are pretty expensive products. Two phones that aren't too different from the Galaxy S20 range. The company released earlier this year the news of their release, and the screen size is basically the same as the Galaxy S20 and S20 Ultra, which is about 6.7 and 6.9 inches respectively. And there's 5G support, which is the biggest thing. Almost the same exact camera system, though. So, why should we be excited? Well, despite the fact that their camera is not much different, they already had an incredible camera to begin with, so they weren't really fighting an uphill battle. You can zoom up to 50 times closer to a subject and retain decent quality, which is something that, I'm sorry, I love Apple to death, but they can't tout that at all. I mean, their cameras, when you try to zoom in, everything gets pretty blurry, and I'm sure that's fixed with the newer model, but I am currently with the Apple X, so I'm not swimming in money buying these new products, despite the fact that they have 3 cameras just like the Galaxy, as well as the Note. So what's to be excited about? Well, the Note 20 Ultra is I guess the big talk of the town, and that's because of the fact that they built in stronger capabilities as far as the operability of the camera and the video. They have a more robust Pro Video mode in the camera app that allows for finer control when filming, and it even allows you to choose which microphone on the phone you want to use to record. One thing that people are saying is a little strange is that only the Note 20 Ultra has 120 hertz screen, a feature that Samsung debuted on the S20 line. With the Note 20, you're stuck with the traditional 60 hertz screen. The Ultra also has a curved screen, whereas the regular model has a flat panel. But the S Pen is what is really, exciting about these phones. What's really special about these phones. Samsung says the precision and the responsiveness of the bundled stylus has improved significantly. The new pen's specific features, as you probably know, include the gestures, but the gestures have gotten a lot more robust and a lot more capable. And they've also implemented anywhere actions, so you can make 5 specific gestures with the S Pen to trigger customizable functions in the phone. For example, a swipe to the left in mid-air with the S Pen could launch an app. Samsung has also updated its Notes app, which now can auto-save notes and sync them across all your devices. It's also converted handwriting into text, which is awesome, and I wish more companies would do this. You can annotate and highlight PDFs in the app, and later this year, these notes will be able to sync to your Microsoft OneDrive and Outlook accounts. So the goal of all of these things that Microsoft is implementing, Samsung's implementing, is that they're trying to make it as ultra compatible as Apple products are, and also giving more capabilities. It's really, I think, a winning strategy or the only winning strategy when it comes to competing with a company the size of Apple. So the Notes range now has tighter integration with Windows. And with the Link to Windows app, you can create shortcuts on Windows to access your mobile apps quickly. And in the fall, you'll be able to run multiple apps side by side on your PC. So Microsoft's Game Pass will also be available on the Note 20 devices. So you can stream Xbox titles wherever you are on the phones. You'll need a very good internet connection, though. So what else are we seeing from Samsung? Well, Another thing we're seeing from Samsung is the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus. So this is their version of an iPad, for those of you who don't know it. So it's an 11-inch Tab S7 and the 12.4-inch Tab S7 Plus. And they're the first tablets that support 5G in the US. Not that that means much, because 5G is pretty inaccessible for most people. I mean, it hasn't been integrated that well, and a lot of people are kind of freaked out by 5G and what it's going to mean. You know, there's all these conspiracy theories that it's going to be causing cancer, and I don't know whether or not they're true. I just know that people are a little freaked out by that. And you can get the same Snapdragon 865 Plus processor, just like the new Note 20, 120 hertz screen refresh rate, and 4 speakers with Dolby Atmos support. And that is the thing that really separates them from Apple, is that their speakers are a lot better. I mean, if you've ever tried to play something through an Apple, it sounds like crap, but through a Samsung Galaxy or a Note, they sound pretty solid. It's kind of, you could just put it down on the counter and actually listen to music as if it's a Bluetooth speaker. I mean, not the same quality, but it's superior to Apple's. So that's one thing they got going for them, which is nice. An S Pen stylus is included with each tablet, but if you want to add other accessories like a keyboard with a tracking pad, you need to pay more for it. And the tablets are already quite pricey. Not as pricey as the phone, luckily, but it's starting at around $650 for the 11-inch and $850 for the 12.4-inch Tab S7 Plus. And now they're also offering the Galaxy Watch 3, because why not jump into every sector that Apple is also in? On the wearable front, the new Galaxy Watch is the successor to the 2018 Galaxy Watch. And there was no Galaxy Watch 2. It just skipped to the 3. Sort of like Apple didn't do a 9. They just went, I don't know. I'm just kidding. So a couple of things to get excited about in regards to the Galaxy Watch is that as far as the profile goes, it's smaller, thinner, and lighter than the original design. But it's also a slightly bigger screen, a 1.4-inch round screen. It comes in at 41 millimeters and 45 millimeter sizes, and Samsung says you can expect a 2-day battery life from both models, which is arguably kind of a cop-out, because, you know, my Apple Watch 3, not even the newest one, goes about 3 days before I need to charge it. And I'm sure that's not true for everybody, because some people use their phone like use their Apple Watch like crazy, and they're constantly running apps in it. I use it mainly for workouts, and that's about it. And obviously, you know, just to wear it because I'm cool, you know. #ThugLife. But a 2-day battery, I think that's going to be pretty disappointing for people. Apart from that, the 3 biggest improvements are health related. And what I mean by that is that you can measure your VO2 max, which is the maximum amount of oxygen you can use during exercise, and a data point that is commonly used to measure athletic endurance. You can also measure your SpO2, a blood oxygen saturation level. And Samsung is also really betting heavy on their sleep tracking with the new sleep scoring system. Sleep tracking has been available on Samsung's watches before, but the company says it's worked with a national institute to develop a 5-step algorithm that analyzes more factors, that it will use that data to rate your overall sleep performance. So, as I was saying before, and will always say, the more data, the better. So what's next? Excuse me. What's next? We also have the Samsung Galaxy Buds Live, which even, I'm sorry if I'm a little bit biased, but every single thing they do seems like it's just copying Apple, because it's after the fact. If they had done them first, it would be great. But now we're looking at the Samsung Galaxy Buds Live, which it looks like an AirPod case. I'm not even kidding. The earphones themselves don't look like AirPods, but it looks like an AirPod case. Maybe they're great, maybe they're not. I just feeling in my gut like a little bit of a copycat. But they are the successor of sorts to the Galaxy Buds. They got about an 8 out of 10 from Wired. As far as recommendation goes, and which Samsung debuted earlier this year. So they really, haven't really waited that long to put a second version out. The Buds Live differentiated themselves by offering active noise canceling. And that's what a lot of people are looking for. Active noise cancellation makes it so that you don't need to kill your ears with volume. It cancels out that consistent noise in the background, like it doesn't cancel out voices, but it cancels out unless someone's just doing one consistent note. Because the way that sound canceling works is it reads the consistent sound waves that are coming in, and inverts the waveform and plays it out. And because it's right by your ear, it can cancel out the sound that's coming in, which is super cool and super physicsy. So these earphones are going to last for about 5.5 hours with these features on, the sound canceling, I mean. And with them off, they can hit 8 hours, which is better than AirPods. But you kind of want the same technology that AirPods are going to do. And, actually they beat it with even if they're on, you're looking at 5.5. And I think my AirPods get about 4 hours of battery. But I think I have older ones, so I think the newer ones are better. So also coming from Samsung is the Z Fold 2 5G. And this is something that a lot of people have been talking about, and a lot of people have been anticipating. It's a foldable phone. I don't know why they think we need this. I'm sounding very critical of Samsung, but I don't need a foldable phone. Anyways, the Fold 2 goes back to the book-like style on the original Fold, but the big difference is the size of the front screen when it's closed. So you're actually getting a 6.2-inch traditional screen experience before even opening up the Fold 2. So I guess that's why. That answers the question, why do you have it fold? Because it can operate as a phone and then sort of a mini or smaller iPad. So that's what you're looking at, as opposed to the miniature 4.6-inch front screen on the original. You're looking at getting slightly bigger than 7.6-inch screen. This time, there's a single hole punch camera on the inside, so it looks much more like a true full-screen experience. So these are all improvements that are going to get better and better as the years go on. The problem, in my opinion, however, is that the Fold 2... it comes in two colors, which is cool, bronze and black, but it's going to cost the same as the original, which, if you didn't know, is $1,980. So I can go and buy an Onyx bike and have a little bit that I still need to spend, barely. It's basically the price of the original Onyx bikes that they put out, like the electric bike motorcycle. It's the same price as the original motorcycle they put out, which is just, I'm sorry, that's too expensive. Why? I mean, the beauty of a capitalistic market is that things get cheaper and you get the best product for the best price. But right now they're just, I mean, how much do you think it costs to make these things? I don't want to be so critical of them, but how much could they possibly, I mean, soon enough, we're going to have phones that are going to cost $5,000 and maybe they'll fly us around. They'll be built, like you'll have a phone that turns into a helicopter. I don't know. But until they start doing stuff like that, there's no reason you should be paying $2,000 for a phone. It's just too much. It's too much. But overall, a lot of exciting stuff from Samsung. We're seeing a lot of new development, and that's exciting stuff to begin with. But we've talked about the mirrors. We've talked about two different types of mirrors. We've talked about Samsung's announcements. What we have coming up for you is pretty exciting as well. And I say we, I mean me. So solar panels are having a little bit of a problem as far as trash goes. Outside of that, stick around to the end, and we're going to talk about transportation and one specific type of transportation that I'm super passionate and excited about, and when you can expect it, what the problems are, what's going on in the industry, etc., etc. But you'll have to stick around. See you in a jiffy.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Technology Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Durkin, and this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. So we've talked about mirrors that you can look at yourself in while you're doing makeup, while you're working out. We've talked about Samsung's announcements. Coming up, we're going to talk about solar panels. Okay, so we have a few things to talk about with solar panels. I told you I'm Tesla obsessed, which means I have an obligation to at least discuss the Tesla solar roofs before I get to the bad news. But the good news, okay, so for those of you that don't know, Tesla launched, first off, bought SolarCity. Elon Musk was a controlling shareholder in SolarCity and a board member for quite some time, and then Tesla just overall, in an effort to increase its capacity to really cause an impact, as far as green energy goes, it launched its solar business after purchasing SolarCity, and their solar panels are out of this world. If you haven't seen them yet at their launches, which I would be shocked to know that you didn't see them, so go on YouTube and look at them now. But if you haven't, their solar roofs look like shingles, and they are cheaper than replacing your roof, which is exactly the same method that he tried to do with cars, basically. He's like, let's get down to a $35,000 cost of the vehicle so that, like, most people that buy most people, liberally, I'm using that liberally, most people that buy cars, when they want a new car, it's going to be the best performing car on the road, and it's going to be cheaper, or at least competitive. He's doing the same with these, except they're significantly better, last longer, more durable, and they charge your house and look so clean. They look like shingles, and they have various different types of shingles too. They have the Tuscan roof look, if you're looking for that sort of like LA vibe, or some people in Massachusetts have them too, but it's kind of an LA vibe, I think. The Tuscan roof, the one that looks like clay. Oh, that's so beautiful. I wish I could have that as one as my, I like the traditional roof. I take it back. But these roofs, the solar panels are basically tiles like you would normally put on roof tiles. It's mini solar panels that charge your entire house, and obviously you'll be urged to buy the Tesla solar wall, or it'll be required in most cases, I think. And the Tesla solar wall is the best way to charge your Tesla vehicle. So they're really just, checking off all the boxes, making sure that it's better in all cases. But they're absolutely stunning. They're 3 times stronger than a standard roof, and you get 24/7 energy monitoring. All right, so let's talk about function and form. Solar Roof replaces your existing roof and brings it to life with the beautiful solar tiles, and can power your home for decades with the energy you produce. Cost of ownership, the solar roof is comparable in the price to a typical roof with solar panels. Purchase solar panel roofs at one of the lowest cost per watt of any national provider. And I'm just reading off their website at this point because they lay it all out. They don't really hide anything. I mean, you have an app that builds in that everything you have is built into, and it can tell you exactly what's going on with your system, what's going on with your test, like is your car charging. You get a 25-year warranty for the tiles, and a power warranty of 25 years, and a weatherization warranty of 25 years. I mean, in a lot of the cases, you can't beat this stuff. I mean, hail rating is a class 3. For up to 1.75 inches diameter. Wind rating class F, up to 166 mile per hour winds, and the roof pitch is supposed to be 2 to 12 or to 20 to 12. And then a fire rating class A, UL 790, which is the best fire rating you can get. these things are unbelievable. And I've been urging my dad, my parents, to get one for their home because they've been needing to replace the roof, and he's actually looking into it. Sadly, they're not. It doesn't seem like they're here yet. Let's click order now and see what it says, because it'll probably say something like they're not available in your area yet. So let's check this out. I put in my address, which I will not say live on air, but we'll put that in right there. Home site, no data found for that address. Please enter. Interesting. Okay, so all I know is that he's getting Tesla solar panels installed now, but they're not going to be the solar roof, which I was kind of bummed out about, because you want to see the solar roof. You want to get every inch of that roof covered with solar panels, even if it's not like, you're not going to get the best out of solar panels on certain pitches, but with a Tesla solar roof, I mean, you're making use of every square inch. It's incredible. So they have two different types. You can get the solar roof or the premium roof plus solar panels. So they're really just making it happen, Tesla. I mean, I don't know any other company that's really innovated to such an extent with their solar roofs and their solar panels. Even their solar panels by themselves, they look so much cleaner than most companies. They just look appealing. And you get to, use solar energy to power your home and reduce your dependence on the grid. And a lot of people think reducing your dependency on the grid is like, will help the state and the country, et cetera, et cetera. I personally, as a libertarian, love this technology, because if you can make yourself as self-reliant as possible, why should you be it just makes you kind of untouchable. I like people being able to grow their own food. Obviously, we can't do that year-round in New England, so you can't exactly execute that. But grow your own food, get your own energy, and not be reliant on these outrageous, commodities and just things that, get your own water on your own property, so you don't have to pay for a water bill. You just get it. Granted, well water is pretty gnarly sometimes, but it's just better the more you can be self-sufficient. And these their solar panels are sleek and durable when they're, even if it's not the actual Tesla solar roof. So there's seamless battery pack power. Their power detects grid outages and automatically becomes your home's main energy source, protects your home from the next power outage, and keeps lights on, phones charged, no puddles under the fridge. So, people in California ought to be just really buying into this right now, because they're getting smoked right now. I think we should set up a prayer for all those guys out there right now with these fires and everything. I think they put them down or put them out recently, but it's scary stuff. So let's talk about the bad news. Now that I've talked up Tesla for the 16th time in 3 or 4 episodes. Oh my gosh. It's an addiction. I can't stop. Okay, so solar panels are an increasingly important source of renewable power. And more and more houses are using them, more and more businesses are using them. And it's I don't know if it's going to end up being the final solution for climate change, but people are treating it as if it's the best weapon and tool we have to fight climate change right now. And there are complex pieces of technology that become big, bulky, and sheets of electronic waste at the end of their lives. And right now, most of the world doesn't have a plan for dealing with that. We have no plan for dealing with this waste, this bulky electronic waste. But as far as I understand, there's a big push right now for people to come up with solutions for it, because solar e-waste glut is coming. By 2050, the International Renewable Energy Agency projects that up to 78 million metric tons, 78 million metric tons of solar panels will have reached the end of their life. And that world will be generating about 6 million metric tons of new solar e-waste annually. So while the latter number is a small fraction of the total e-waste humanity produces each year, standard electronics recycling methods don't cut They just don't cut it for solar panels. So recycling most valuable materials from one, including silver and silicone, requires bespoke recycling solutions. And we need to meet this challenge, because if we don't, there's going to be a huge issue with waste buildup. Just straight from the source from Arizona State University Solar Research, Meng Tao said, if we don't mandate recycling, many of the modules will go to landfills. And that's, I mean, it's just, we're throwing so much in the ground that will not break down. And he recently authored a paper on recycling silicone solar panels, which comprise 95% of the solar market. So solar panels are composed of photovoltaic cells that convert sunlight to electricity. And with these panels entering landfills, that valuable resource will go to waste. And because solar panels are kind of toxic materials, or at least they contain toxic materials that can leach out and break down in landfilling and also create eventual environmental hazards. So most solar manufacturers claim that panels will last for around 25 years, which is why Tesla gives that warranty for 25 years in so many different respects. And as far as wind, fire, and general damage, hail, they claim that they will last 25 years. But that didn't start deploying solar widely until the early 2000s. As a result, there's a small number of panels that are being decommissioned today, but soon enough it's going to rise. PV Cycle, a nonprofit dedicated to solar panel take back and recycling, collects several thousand tons of solar e-waste across the European Union each year. And according to the director, Jan Klink, I can't pronounce that last name. The figure includes solar panels that have reached the end of their life, but also those that were decommissioned early because they were damaged during a storm and had some sort of manufacturing defect. So we're talking a lot of solar panels, and it's going to raise like a hockey stick the more we implement these solar panel systems. And there needs to be a urgency towards finding solutions in this regard. So when solar panels reach the end of their life, there's a few possible fates. At least in Europe, producers are required to ensure that their solar panels are recycled properly. In Japan, India, and Australia, recycling requirements are in the works. And in the United States, it's basically a free-for-all. With the exception of a state law in Washington, the U.S. has no solar recycling mandates. None. Whatsoever. So voluntary industry-led recycling efforts are limited in scope. Right now, we can be pretty confident that about 10% of solar panels are being recycled. 10%. That's not good. That's really not good, and it's going to become a huge problem. It's going to raise we're going to have huge piles of e-waste, and the amount is going to raise like a hockey stick. It's going to be like the Dow Jones in a huge, just healthy economy, just skyrocketing. But anyways, Tao and his colleagues estimated that the recycler taking apart a standard 60-cell silicone panel can get about $3 for the recovery of the aluminum, copper, and glass. Vanderhoof, meanwhile, says that the cost of recycling that panel in the U.S. is between $12 and $25. So after transportation costs, which often equal the cost of recycling at the same time, it's typically going to cost less than $1 to dump a solar panel in solid waste landfill. So we're not looking at good numbers here. But what we do know is that the cost far exceeds the revenue of recycling it. So we're looking at a big problem here that needs solving, and I think someone should direct message Elon Musk, because he's definitely going to have some sort of solution to this, because that guy's a genius. And I know I'm repeating myself because I say it all the time, but I mean, if anybody's going to solve it, it'll be him, if he's not too distracted by space, etc. Anyways, we've talked about mirrors that you can look at yourself in and work out with. We've talked about Samsung's announcements, and we've talked about solar panels. So what's next? Well, you'll have to hang out till after the break to find out. See you soon.
Are you a business owner? Someone interested in the latest news that might affect your business? Then check out the GSMC Business News Podcast, a show dedicated to keeping you up to date on all things concerning business, technology, and the stock market. Get a head start on the day as we keep you updated on the latest goings-on Wall Street, money, jobs, and technology. The GSMC Business News Podcast has you covered.
All right, what's up, folks? This is Jake Durkin. Again, I am your host. This is the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by none other than the GSMC Podcast Network. So we've talked about mirrors with a lot of tech in them. We've also talked about Samsung's Galaxy and Note, their new phones that they're releasing, as well as their new watch, or the new version of their watch. And we've talked about solar panels and the issues confronting solar panels. So what are we talking about next? The Hyperloop. The Hyperloop. Coming to theaters in 2000. We don't know yet. Because Hyperloop technology's taken a bit of time. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. This is exciting stuff. It's incredibly innovative, and it's going to take a lot of problem solving. And money, for that matter. But it's taking long, and we need it now. So let's a little bit, for those of you that don't know about the Hyperloop, about 2 years ago, Elon Musk sort of released this design for the Hyperloop that he made open source so that more people could work on it and more people could commit to helping this, make it a reality, making it a reality. These things they're designed to go 670, high 600s miles per hour. So you can, in a lot of cases, they take 5, 6, 7 hour trips and put them into under an hour, like 35 minutes in most cases. So since announcing it, Tesla has actually not been at the forefront because, they're focused on other things. But who's at the forefront? Virgin. Yeah. Virgin Hyperloop Company. They are building the infrastructure to put these Hyperloop systems in place, and their system can propel passengers or cargo, for that matter, at speeds of over 1,000 kilometers per hour, which is what we discussed before, which is about 670. And this is 3 times faster than high-speed rail and more than 10 times faster than traditional rail. So we're talking a huge monumental change in the amount it's going to cost to move stuff, as well as the time it's going to take. And this isn't just in regards to other modes of like trains. We're talking airplanes. It's faster than airplanes, significantly, for like regular airplanes that you would take to say go from Los Angeles to San Francisco, 382 miles, otherwise known as 615 kilometers if you're not in the U.S. Okay, the Virgin Hyperloop will make that in 43 minutes. An airplane makes that in an hour and 28 minutes. And a car in about 6 hours. So they're cutting off a huge amount of time. And as we talked about previously on the podcast, time is the most valuable commodity, and we're getting people back their free time while they're commuting with stuff like self-driving cars. And in this format, we're getting people to be able to take trips to other cities. I mean, people could theoretically, with that time change, 43 minutes, I mean, that's how much it takes me to get from where I grew up into Boston. And my dad made that commute every single day. So theoretically, you could have people living in Los Angeles and working in San Francisco and having the same commute as they used to, getting like just into Los Angeles. On top of that, sustainability being one of the number one drives for Elon Musk and companies like this, it's a nice thing to have, and it's a requirement for transportation that moves us forward. Over its lifetime, the Virgin Hyperloop will have a lower environmental impact than other modes of transportation, probably any other mode of transportation. While I disagree with the Green New Deal, they did mention trains as a form of transportation that could decrease the amount of fossil fuels we burn in regards to airplanes and making airplanes something of the past, which sounds weird, but it could be possible. Why would you get on a plane, burn all that fossil fuel, when you can make a trip in less time, cause less damage to the environment, and in the long run, make it completely sustainable? I mean, this could theoretically be a 100% electric trip and powered by solar panels and wind farms and whatever other form of electric development we can get going. So Virgin, for instance, has run over 400 tests. They've hit top speeds of 387 kilometers per hour, and they've built a track of 500 meters long. So we're not talking like, they're really not testing the limits quite yet. And that's something I think we need to accelerate at a much faster rate. But safety and comfort is the priority for these companies, because you don't want people to feel like insanely uncomfortable while the Hyperloop is, or the train, the module that you're in is accelerating, and it has the same G-force because of how they designed it as rail, and the ease of riding a metro. And on top of that, it's got 6 times max grade capability, which means the Hyperloop can climb grades up to 10% with a velocity of 100 meters per second due to the propulsion, because it's basically a vacuum inside the tube. So that's more than 6 times improvement over high-speed rail, allowing for greater alignment, flexibility, and less infrastructure construction. Half the cost of tunnels. So by virtually eliminating aerodynamic drag, the Virgin Hyperloop can have a cross-sectional area 1/2 that of a high-speed rail, and therefore close to half the cost. 4.5 times tighter turning radius. So as the pods travel, it banks around turns similar to a plane gliding through the air. So passengers feel near zero lateral acceleration, and this allows them to smoothly reach high speeds with a turning radius capability of 1.36 kilometers at 100 meters per second, which is insane. And smaller road requirements. So right-of-way requirements range from 12 to 24 meters across, a significantly smaller road than the 18 to 30 needed for high-speed rail. So improvements on all fronts in that regard. More impressively to me is that their claim, Virgin Hyperloop's claim, is that passengers of the future will expect direct and on-demand transportation. So with Virgin Hyperloop, there are going to be no timetables. Several pods can depart per minute, and the system doesn't require stops at every station. I mean, this is stuff of the future. This is science fiction coming to life. And while I do get upset that we don't have flying cars, this is kind of the next best thing. I mean, imagine being able to, for me, being on the Cape about an hour 15, if there's traffic, an hour and 40 from Boston. You're looking at like a 15-minute trip if they do this to the Cape, if that. That's insane. And it'll be safer. It's not like a high-speed train just going through the open air, just potentially hitting everything in sight. You know, all these birds just getting absolutely smoked. I mean, it's going to be in an encased unit. So it's like you're just gliding through space, but going to get to your destination 670 miles per hour. I mean, my God. And pods will come in multiple configurations. So there's going to be comfortable seating up to 28 passengers and carrying light luggage. So if you look at the designs on their website, it's really cool. They're very small and they seem very modern, which is exactly what you'd expect from Virgin. You know, those guys, their planes look like something out of this world. And they're really also one of the pioneers in space travel, despite the fact that they're getting smoked by a lot of other companies. I mean, they're making advances that are exceptional. And for the high-speed rail, for this Hyperloop, you're looking at the potential to have the outer layer of the tube coated it in solar panels, thereby charging it. So there's so many different ways that they can innovate and come up with better ways to serve the technology itself. And though the concept may still seem science fiction until you see its fruition, they're estimating that they're going to have magnetic tubes by 2030 at speeds of up to 1,000 kilometers per hour. So, I mean, we still have to wait, but the time is coming, and it's coming soon. And a lot of countries and a lot of states in the U.S. are really pushing for this. Especially, I mean, I think the biggest force or the biggest pull for it has been over in California. They're really making a point to have it be a priority, as well as close to Chicago, and I believe Pittsburgh or Philadelphia are trying to get one in between, which would make it possible so that you could work in one city or the other and live in the other city, which is outrageous. I mean, it's the equivalent. I mean, most people who grow up in the Boston area love the Boston area and don't want to leave, but their job takes them elsewhere. For instance, I got some buddies living in New York City, and they love New York City, but they miss Boston desperately. They just need the job that's in New York City. And if they could somehow get on a train that would be the same commute time every day and still live back home, I think they would do it in a heartbeat, in the drop of a hat. You know, this is the technology that we need in the world. You know, this is why I want to be an engineer at all times, because engineers are changing the way the world works on a daily basis. Problems are being solved by engineers and visionaries and people with creative minds who find better ways to solve problems than have already been solved but aren't being solved properly. It's just such a beautiful thing to see. And we're in an era that it's extremely exciting to be a part of and watch this transformation as technology becomes more entrenched in our daily life. I mean, this is such cool stuff. The Hyperloop alone is something I'm extremely excited about. Watching it get built is not going to be exciting because it's going to take time. If it takes anywhere near the amount of time or money that the Big Dig took in Boston, we're all in serious trouble. But let's take a deeper dive into the technology. So how does this work? Well, the technology uses magnetic levitation and vacuum pumps to propel passengers in a pod through a tube at speeds of about 700, as I already said. It's hard to explain, but imagine they suck the air out so there's no wind resistance or no air resistance of the tube itself. It has to be fully closed. And the vacuum then sucks all the air out so it doesn't have that. I mean, when you drive a car, every so often there's a hurdle to get over, and at a certain speed it's like driving a car through a brick wall. Once you get up to certain speeds, that's at least how the physics works. So the same is true for trains, and the same is true for planes. Luckily we have a fantastic global force of physics experts and engineers that have been able to overcome these hurdles, but that's what the physics of it is. It's extremely challenging to get up to certain speeds, but this stuff is just getting closer and closer, and it's going to make a huge impact. Virgin is also working with local government agencies in Texas to determine Hyperloop's feasibility, including a system that would connect Dallas with Fort Worth, which is 32 miles away. That's not that far, and it would be a great testing ground. The best application for Hyperloop is connecting cities, not for connecting areas within a city. So you're not going to see this lightning speed happen like in downtown Boston. You're still going to hop on the train, and it's going to be awful because they haven't updated them since God knows, maybe the 80s. But these systems are going to give rise to a stronger demand for inner city fast transportation. You know, being able to hop on something like this on a small level and get into various different segments of the city. I mean, imagine in Manhattan being able to get on something this fast and just, for the most part, needing to update certain things. And this is why I love the fact that there are so many private companies trying to jump into this area, because private companies are so much better at innovating quickly, especially in comparison. I mean, the MBTA in Massachusetts nothing's been updated. The engines, the trains, they're all from when they were built, and they're staying the same because you can't get funding for it. And on top of that, they're not that profitable because they're not run like a business that isn't, sort of helped out by the government. These private companies getting into transportation is the best thing we could hope for. Public transportation has a long record of being slow to the roll and slow to accepting new technologies and slow to innovating. And as much as it helps, there can be various different programs that these private companies institute to help people that need to get around at a more inexpensive level. And if they're better run, then tickets can be cheaper. And for the most part, the MBTA isn't inexpensive. It's actually surprisingly expensive, and the prices have gone up like year after year, like quite a bit too. I remember when I was in middle school using the Greenbush train in Massachusetts, and it was like $8 round trip. Now it's like $20 round trip. The prices are out of this world. And when you compare it to commuting in your own car, it's obviously not that much better. And while you don't have to wait in traffic, we need to incentivize people through higher performing transportation to use that transportation, because that's the fastest way to getting to sustainable technology and getting to successfully implementing it into our general daily life. This stuff isn't going anywhere. We need this technology to achieve the goals that have been laid out by both our government and global governments. And just because as climate change and green energy become more important and a bigger part of our lives, we're going to need to implement serious changes. And the Hyperloop, as far as I can tell, is the best way that we can assure that we can make the biggest impact with a single investment. Electric cars are going to have a huge impact, but it's going to take years for us to replace those cars that have already been sold. So that's my pitch for the Hyperloop, and that's the insight I'm going to give today. My name is Jake Durkin. This is the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Next week, we're going to dive into 3D printed houses, the return of the supersonic plane, and SpaceX, amongst other things. So, as always, thanks for hanging out. Share the podcast. Be sure to review it. My name's Jake Durkin. I'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.